Hello, First Baptist Church of Leadville. It is March 25th, 2020, and I just have a quick devotional thought for you this week. I was reading a book by Timothy Keller, and he was talking about the fact that when in the Bible people encounter God, they oftentimes have a reaction that is two things at the same time. On the one hand, we react in such a way that we are fearful and afraid and nervous before God. On the other hand, we react in a way that we are drawn to God and He captures our heart and our attention. And both of these things happen at the same time. In order to illustrate that, I wanted to show us a small passage that's quite familiar to you in Isaiah chapter 6. This passage in Isaiah shows Isaiah coming before God and seeing Him, and he has this twofold reaction that Timothy Keller talks about. Isaiah chapter 6, starting in verse 1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord high and exalted, seated on a throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him were seraphim, each with 6 wings. With 2 wings they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying. And they were calling to one another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory. At the sound of their voices, the doorposts and the threshold shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Woe to me, I cried, I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. I want to draw your attention to his response here in verse 5. You can see here in verse 5, Isaiah is keenly aware of his iniquity, his sin, who he is. He is full of terror and dread. He says, woe to me. And he says, I'm a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips. This is the first half of what Keller talks about, our reaction to God. We sense our need, our lack, our want, what we struggle with, the fact that we are unworthy before God. And yet, at the same time, Isaiah expresses that second aspect that Keller talks about. We are drawn to God. We see Him and are somehow captured by Him. My eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. On the one hand, he feels completely unworthy, and on the other hand, he is drawn. His eyes have seen God, and there is something that has gripped and captured his heart about this. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this up to you today is this. When we come before God, when He opens our eyes to see our sin and we sense His presence, we are going to be filled with these two aspects and characteristics. One, a sense of His holiness, who He is, how awesome He is, and 2, a sense of our unworthiness, our lack, our need, and the fact that we are ruined before God. And here is the heart of faith. This is one of the key aspects of the Christian faith, that when you come before God in this way, and you have this twofold response, how will you react? One reaction is to run away, to turn from God and say, I'm unworthy to be in His presence. But another reaction is to come in faith and say, God forgives. God is gracious. He is merciful. And even in spite of my sin and my nature, I will come to God, my head hung low perhaps. God, please be merciful to me, a sinner. And the Bible teaches that He is quick to forgive. He is slow to anger when you recognize humbly your state before Him. And so that actually exemplifies the heart of faith. Have you been in a place in your life where you struggle to come to God? You sense your own worthiness and your lack of holiness? The proper Christian response is not to run. It's not to hang your head in shame, and it's not to hide in fear. It's to have faith in God's mercy and in His grace. And in spite of your unworthiness and your iniquity, you come before God boldly, not because of you, but because of Him. He is quick to forgive, He is gracious, and He is merciful, all because of His Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. And so I encourage you this week to approach God boldly, not because you have some sort of presumptuous spirit, but instead because of what He has done for you on the cross through His Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. May God bless you this week and keep you. Please stay strong, and focus on Christ throughout this week. I love you, and I pray for you guys. Take care. God bless. Bye now.